What if the place you felt safest was the place someone chose to watch you from the shadows? This isn't a ghost story. There were no demons, no monsters, just something far worse, something real. And it all started with a tapping. Stick around, because what happens next will chill you to the bone. If you're into true horror stories that get under your skin, hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments. What would you do if someone knocked on your window at midnight? Now, let the nightmare begin.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this scary story, please hit the thumbs up button to help us grow. And if you want to hear more terrifying tales, stay tuned. I was 13 and my sister was 17. My dad was working away as a joiner, and my mom and sister were staying with us for the summer. She asked me if I wanted to come along. Now, because there were no cars around, this was usually the quickest way to get to the shops. I remember walking down this country road and passing by an old Victorian-style house that was boarded up and derelict. It looked like a mausoleum. I always told my sister that if we ever got lost or needed to hide from some crazed killer, that we should make our way to this house because it looked like it hadn't been touched in years. In fact, she kept on teasing me about how I was such a scaredy cat that I'd imagined the whole thing. This time, he wasn't standing in the middle of the path, but leaning against a tree watching them. My sister said that she felt a chill run down her spine, and she couldn't help but think of the previous incident. She started to walk faster, but the man moved away from the tree and walked closer to them. My sister picked up her pace, but the man kept matching her stride for stride. I was doing some gardening and I looked across the road and spotted the same biker man walking towards me. Even weirder than the story itself are the comments that people have been leaving on it. I've been a police officer in the UK for 22 years. I've been in the mounted unit for 15 of those. The vast majority of police motorcycles are black. Police typically wear high-vis jackets while on duty. When I was younger, about 12, I lived in a small suburban town. It was nice. Everyone knew each other and doors weren't locked. Sure enough, there were handprints on my window, as if someone was trying to get in. I told my mother and she said it must have been kids playing a prank. I told her that it was too high up for any kid to reach, and there were no kids in our neighborhood who were that tall. Someone had left a gift for me on my doorstep. It was a book, an old hardcover book with a weird symbol on the front. I didn't recognize the symbol, but I'll never forget what it looked like. And then the voice whispered again, "Do you want to play a game?" I responded in a tiny voice, "No." And then I heard laughter. Evil, cruel laughter right above me. And then I felt the blanket being pulled off of me. And if you want to hear more terrifying tales, stay tuned. I was scared to open it, but my mom made me, because I was taking it upstairs to show my grandma. My door was wide open and the book was on my bedside table, and I will never forget the symbol that was drawn in blood. The police came again, but they didn't find anything. I think they didn't want to upset my parents and me anymore, so they just said that it was probably some crazy homeless guy who just wanted to scare me. And that's when we realized it was blank. The pages were all blank, except for one. One page in the middle of the book had the weird symbol written in blood. Blood. It was real blood. The police came back to see it, but all they said was that it was probably some stupid teenagers playing a prank. She just laughed and went back to cooking breakfast. I didn't even have the strength to slam it shut. I couldn't call out for help because my voice had gone hoarse from screaming the night before. I crawled into my closet and huddled in the corner. I remember thinking, this is it. I'm going to die. I remember pulling my knees to my chest and squeezing my eyes shut. I was shaking. I woke up in the middle of the night to a scratching sound at my window. I assumed it was a bird or something. Every night at the exact same time, I would hear the scratching and the tapping and see the shadow. The police came, but there was nothing they could find. There were no footprints outside the house. There was no sign of forced entry, and my window wasn't damaged. My mom stayed with me that night and we watched movies and ate popcorn to try to take my mind off of it. But the scariest part was that I would feel the vibrations from the scratching and tapping in my bed, as if whatever was outside of my window was trying to get in. I stopped sleeping at all. I was terrified. Then I heard shuffling and tapping and I saw the shadow of something or someone moving just outside of my window. I screamed and buried my head under my pillow. Police officers don't typically wear helmets while on duty, although we do have some that are on training courses and some that are carrying firearms. Those firearms officers will wear blacked out helmets with a clear visor. It may sound stupid, but it makes sense. You don't want criminals to see your face if you need to draw a firearm, although this is Scotland, so maybe it's more likely that they're just wearing it because it's raining. For example, this one from another Reddit user who says, "I'm a traffic officer." The description you provided matches a standard issue police uniform for motorcycle officers. Try not to stereotype, but it's very possible the officer was a cop. He was wearing the same black leather jacket and helmet that I remembered from all those years ago. I couldn't believe my eyes. Was he actually real? I stared at him as he approached and he didn't seem to acknowledge my presence at all. He just kept on walking. When he got close enough, she could see that he was grinning underneath his helmet. She broke into a run. Her friend did the same, and once inside the house, they slammed the door and locked it. Of course, I insisted that I didn't, that I'm never going to forget that man in his leathers. That evening, my dad picked up a 6-pack of beer from the shop and headed off to a nearby call box to ring his brother. About half an hour later, my dad came back in a terrible mood. It turned out that his brother had told him that he'd seen the same biker man several times and that he looked like a total psycho. After my dad calmed down, he decided that he was going to check out the route that we'd taken to the shops. She would laugh and tell me to shut up. And apparently, he never saw the man. What he did notice, though, was that all of the routes we'd taken were missing manhole covers. We never saw the man again, but my dad kept on finding missing manhole covers on the routes that we took to the shops. Eventually, all of the manhole covers were replaced, but not before my dad had managed to fall down one of the holes and break his glasses. After a bit of digging, he discovered that the council had put in new water pipes in the area and had removed the manhole covers for easy access. But those pipes didn't go under the path. They went under the road. We had no phone line, so any calls had to be made from the local call box. There was also no internet or even TV at our house. The moment he stepped into view, my blood ran cold. He was dressed in a full leather motorcycling suit and helmet. I remember thinking, why would someone be walking in the middle of the day when the sun was shining? The man stood motionless for a couple of seconds, as if waiting for us to pass. I don't know why, but I remember screaming, "Run!" and we both sprinted the remaining distance home as fast as we could. So when my mom and sister arrived, we spent most of our time outdoors riding bikes, playing football and climbing trees. The next Reddit story comes from another user. I'll never forget the summer of '84. Back then, we lived in a small town in a rural area of Scotland. One particular day, my sister decided she wanted to go to the shops about a mile away. As we were walking along, we heard the faint sound of what sounded like someone clearing their throat very loudly. It was too far away to be sure. My sister and I started to walk faster, but the noise started getting louder. It sounded like footsteps near to us now. We quickened our pace. Whoever it was started to pick up their pace as well. I can distinctly remember looking over my shoulder expecting to see a giant or something. All I saw was the foliage of the trees. After finishing our shopping, we made our way home along a different route, a path that cut through the woods. As we rounded a bend in the path, we could see a person standing directly in front of us. When we got home, we told our mom about what we'd seen, but she thought it was hilarious. About a week later, my sister and her friend were walking back from the shops along the same path when they saw the same biker again. This time, my mom listened when we told her what had happened. According to my sister, he took the same route that we did, passing by the derelict house. My dad had a good look around the area and noticed a set of tire marks in the mud that looked like they were made by a heavy motorbike. That was the end of the story until about 2 years ago. I still live in that same house, and I often look across the road hoping to catch another glimpse of him, but I haven't seen him since. But this next comment really caught my eye. It's from a verified police officer. Now, I'm no expert on body language, but leaning against a tree while watching two girls walk past does scream creepy to me. This next Reddit story comes from a different user. Please believe me when I say I am trying to leave this story out of my mind, but I can't. In the morning after, of course, not sleeping at all, I got up and went to my window to look out. It happened a second night though, and the third and the fourth. On the fifth night, my mom called the police. I'm pretty sure she finally believed me. In the morning, she let me sleep in, and then she brought me downstairs, and that's when I saw it. It happened a sixth night, and this time, the door to my room was open, and then I heard a voice, a whisper right next to my ear. It said, "Do you want to play a game?" I froze. I don't remember much after that. I think I passed out, but when I came to, I was lying on my bed. To this day, I don't know what happened to me that night. I have nightmares about that whisper. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this scary story, please hit the thumbs up button to help us grow.